Good evening, rockers. Vegas Rock Goddess here on the rocks. Total entertainment. Coming to you live from somewhere off the Las Vegas Strip. Today, I am talking to an amazing artist, Diego Ovello, out of Austin, Texas. We're going to talk about his band, Bully Los Bufalos. This is an amazing band. They've got a great rock and roll sound. So I'm really anxious to talk to him and get the backstory on this band. It is a Facebook find. So super excited we connected. So let's get the party started. All right, we've got Diego coming in. So let's let him in. The lovely internet running slow today. Here we go. Are you there, Diego? Hello. I can't hear you. Turn your mic on. We'll give him a second here. Turn your mic on.
Hi.
Okay, there we go.
Now I can hear you.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, fabulous.
Oh, awesome.
So, hey, welcome to On the Rocks. It is great to have you on. I'm a huge fan. Number one, I've been doing a retrospect of your music today,
Okay.
and I really, really love your live stuff.
Thank you so much. That's what we like to do, like the lifestyle.
Right. But I mean, you also have some great songs. Like, for instance, what I liked was Invictus. That's a great tune.
Yeah.
Love that. The Preacher, that really got to, that's a great song.
No,
But
thank you. Well, go
before
on.
we
Sorry.
get into that, I want our viewers to kind of get to know you and your band. So you're from Austin, Texas.
Well, I'm from Spain.
Oh, okay. So are you in Spain right now?
No, I'm in Austin, Texas, but I was
Oh, but
born
you're
in
from
Spain.
Spain. Okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of figured we were going to get into that too. But anyway,
yeah.
why don't you give us a background on how you got into this rock and roll madness?
Well, I was born in a small town north of Spain called Cangas del Narcea. The state is Asturias, and when I it is a small town, like 8,000 people, something like that. Beautiful, very beautiful, and great people. However, we didn't have any record store or rock and roll radios, so it was kind of difficult. In those days, we only have two channels on TV, channel one and channel two. So it was kind of difficult to reach some good rock and roll. But a friend of mine, when I was 16 years old, he passed me a cassette with Little Richard. So Little Richard from the 50s, good golly, Miss Molly. And I get in love with that sound and that American culture and American rock and roll. And Little Richard led me to Eddie Cochran, Jim Vincent, Buddy Holly, obviously Elvis Presley. And I get in love with American culture, not only with the American rock and roll, with American culture. And years later, I decided to leave my country and move to United States, chasing a dream.
Yeah, and your dream is definitely coming true, Diego, for sure.
Yeah, it
Now,
is. It is.
now your songwriting ability. First, before we get into all the songwriting, why don't you tell the viewers who's in your band?
So, well, there was a time that the name of my band is Bull y los Búfalos, Bull and the Buffaloes. So I sing in Spanish and English. So I like to keep the name in both language. So lately, since I came to the United States, 99% that I do is in English. So there was a time that I have a band here in Austin, Texas, another band in LA, California, another band in Mexico, and another band in Spain. The way that it was the same band with different four chapters. So when I was flying or playing in Europe, I used the Spanish band. When I was in Mexico, I used Mexican guys. And when I was in West Coast, the LA band, and also same thing here in Central United States, South Texas. However, right now, it was I love all the guys, but it was very difficult to keep four bands. So I'm just playing with the Californian guys, which they are not from California, any of them, but they live in LA.
Oh, okay. Well, that's great. So you kind of use different artists, which, you know what? That's really the norm right now with a lot of bands. Um, Depending on like when they're going to tour, because a lot of the artists I'm sure that you've worked with are in multiple projects.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really hard to kind of nail them down on even a small tour. So it's good that you're getting definitely the experience from other artists too with your music, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Now they're pretty good guys and amazing musicians, and like you say, playing with different people is a constant learning. So you're learning from different sources, and you know here in the United States there are top-notch musicians for about rock and roll. I mean, there are great musicians all around the world, but here in the United States, particularly for rock, you can find very cool people.
Yeah, and you know what? In 24, I mean, I kind of made this prediction on my end of the year show, but in 24, you're going to see a real shift in music because we're getting back to rock and roll.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah, we're talking like I wouldn't say I'd say the late 70s, early 80s sound, like the Leonard Skinner sound, like
yeah,
bands like Journey, real rock.
yeah.
And
I'm totally agree.
yeah, you've got the sound, Diego.
Oh,
I mean,
thank you.
this is a great time for your genre of music. And I mean, people are craving live rock and roll. I mean, because I think a lot of us were stuck in pandemic for so long with no live music. So now everybody's coming out of the woodwork ready to rock. So what's your kind of feeling on that?
I'm totally agree with you. I think rock and roll is back. I don't think rock and roll never died, but definitely we have bad times. I would say that rock and roll was kind of a stigma, like you know the 2000 to even early 2010. But right now in 2000, after the pandemic, yeah, and even a little bit before the pandemic, rock and roll is again a lot of festivals for publishing that is the number one music for publishing in movies and video games and TV shows. Rock and roll is the rock music, hard rock is the number one. There are a lot of great rock festivals in Europe. Also here, the metal scene is always a good scene that has a lot of faithful followers and fans. And people are craving for live music, like you said. So, and I can tell every time that we're going out and we play, people are enjoying their time and supporting the bands, going to the gigs, and that's wonderful. That's fantastic.
Yeah, because I think a lot of us spent, I mean, my part in pandemic, I was interviewing bands all the way through pandemic. So I was getting a lot of those stories where we just lost our drummer and bass player. So can we reschedule? I mean, I was getting a lot of that because, I mean, it did a number on everybody, but now we're like ready to go. And a lot of this great music that was recorded and written is coming out now.
That's true.
And like you're a storyteller. I can totally tell by your music that you have a story to tell. And that's I think what we're as listeners, as as concert goers, we want a story. We miss that. What are your feelings on storytelling?
Well, I'm happy that you bring this because there is a documentary running and being filmed about my rock and roll journey from my small town in Spain to Austin, Texas, through Mexico, through California. So I met a guy here in Austin. His name was Raymond Montgomery. I say was because he passed away. And he told me the same like 8 years ago. I say, Bull, one thing that is good about your music is it is real. You did a real trip. You took the road less travel, but the name is the name of the documentary in one of my songs. And every song that I wrote is talking about something that happened with me on the road, on my life, on all these travels and all these adventures. And I'm trying to keep it as much real that I can, and being open about my feelings and open about my experience. And the documentary is being filmed because of that. It's a film by a company called Penny Rock Productions here for Austin, Texas. And they say, "Bull, we need to put this story on a film, going to Spain, going to Mexico, going to LA, and you need to tell all the story that happened on the road." That I already do with my music, but in this case, it's
Right.
going to be through me and through interviews.
Yeah, and that's, I think that, like I said, the one piece of the puzzle that kind of got lost last year a little bit with a lot of live music, that from a rock journalist perspective, I did a lot of traveling. I went to Nashville. I saw a lot of local bands, and as well as national acts as well too. But it's great that in 24 that we're kind of really putting the footprint back on rock and roll and pushing it forward, instead of maybe coming back.
I'm
'Cause
agree.
yeah,
There's a lot of great rock and rollers there, uh, hungry and angry to play rock and roll again, and with a lot of. It was a very bad time for everyone, but especially for musicians, because we were the first one losing our job, and we were the last one to get it back.
right,
So in my case, I became to be a homeless during the pandemic because I didn't have any incomes. I don't have family here. I have great friends that I would call them family. And right now I have a green card. There's a permanent resident in this country. In those days, I have a music visa. It's called Extraordinary Talent in the Arts of Music, which is a great visa that only allows me to work in the music business. So I couldn't work. I couldn't come back to my country. I couldn't apply for benefits. I get some grants from some Nashville and also Austin, and so I became to be a homeless during 1 year and a half. But I'm gonna tell you, it doesn't sound fair that I wasn't totally homeless because I decided to go camping by the lake here in North Austin in a beautiful place. It's a park. It's a beautiful park. So I wasn't totally living under the bridge. I was
right, right,
literally, I was living in a tent, but I was living with a kayak by the lake and no water, no electricity, no current water. And it was tough, but it was very beautiful at the same time. I felt a little lost, but at the same time being in contact with nature and with just myself. Uh, it was a beautiful and tough time at the same time, an amazing experience. And by the way, I wrote a lot of songs in that picnic table by the lake. And some of the songs, there is a cool story that is going to be in the documentary. My friend Verdi, he was one of the members in Spain. He was in lockdown like most of the musicians in Spain. So I have a couple of riffs. He has a couple of riffs, and say, "Hey, what about we write a couple of songs together?" When I was camping. So long story short, we wrote songs together. He recorded in a laptop. He took fake drums and bass and everything guitars. So I have a hand recorder with battery because I don't have electricity there. So I record the vocals with a hand recorder with batteries like that, screaming on the on the forest. Dinero, pretty dinero. So the other campers say, well, "What the hell are you doing?" Yeah, I'm recording an album. So he mixed it. He did an amazing job. Sounded so good that we didn't want to touch it. I sent it to a big producer here in Austin and say, "Hey man, what do you think about it?" He said, "I think it sounds amazing. Where did you record it?" They said, "Well, on a picnic table with a hand recorded." So my last album, my last EP, Fury, those three songs are recorded on a living on a tent, on a picnic table with a hand recorder and a laptop. And you can't be more real than that. That
No.
is, that is absolutely, when the things turn against you, like the pandemic, like being homeless, and you turn that in something positive, it requires a lot of strength and a lot of help. And it was a good learning. And it's a kind of the message that I want to send to everyone that when things turn very bad, turning in a good thing for you, like we did in that camping.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, your music is really inspirational because like I said, the storytelling is amazing. It's like you want to hear more. After the
Oh,
end of the
thank you.
song, I'm like, okay, now what? I want to hear what's next, you
That's
know?
good.
So I really, like I said, I mean, so good. So what are you currently working on?
Well, I just finished today our new single. It's called, and it's talking about this situation or other called Divine Storm, the Divine Storm. We finished the mix and recording and mix, and we are mastering today. And it's a new single that I think we're gonna put it out on April, maybe. It's
Okay.
already done, but we need to send it to Spotify, all the kind of things, record label. And the song is talking about exactly that. The going when you the name of this band, Bufalos, I choose it because I saw on a magazine, was a National Geographic magazine. There was a buffalo charging the storm, and he say buffaloes they are not afraid about the storm. They charge the storm to cross it as soon as possible. So I really like that attitude for this band. So the cover of the album is a buffalo uh, charging the storm. And the song is talking about that. Like, don't you worry, it's gonna be hard, it's gonna be tough, it's gonna be long, but you will cross this divine storm. And it's a hard rock and roll. There's a lot of rock and roll in this new song.
Right. But it's amazing. You're the guitar, you play the guitar on there, right?
We have three guitar players. This is like
Okay.
not as good as Leonard Skinner, but we have three guitar players in the band, and I am the rhythm guitar player. So I have other two guys, Celso and Nicolas. They are from Brazil, and they
Okay.
are amazing guitar players. So most of the times they do the recordings, when we play live, I play too. Means I wrote some of the riffs in my band, half of the songs, the riffs. The lyrics are all mine. But sometimes the guitar players, in this case, also wrote the riff of Divine Storm.
Yeah, your intros, guitar intros on these songs are epic because they really have that hook. Like, okay, I'm waiting. Let's go, you know? And yeah, that's what really kind of caught my ear was
Good, but
the riff intros.
yeah, well, the rock and roll needs guitars, that's for sure.
Of course. But I'm saying it
The-
makes but I'm saying your songs make a statement. And like I said, the storytelling is amazing and I can't wait to hear more from your journey.
well, yeah, I'm so glad and happy that you like the music because that's what we like to hear from others. Like, hey, I expecting more, I want more, and I totally think that you understand our message and what we're trying to do with this music. There is L.A. Lloyd is a famous rock and roll DJ here in Austin, Texas. He was also a rock DJ in Los Angeles. He's going to be the narrator of the documentary, and he really believes in our songs. He always say kind of the same thing that you say for the reason he's so involved in the documentary about keep telling your story, keep it real. These days about social media and digital era, it's good, but at the same time there's a lot of fakeness, like filters and AI and all that kind of things. And
Yeah. I mean, we're still dealing with a lot of that artificial intelligence, which, I'm not going to be here bashing on artificial intelligence, but in rock and roll, yeah.
means I'm not like a a Cro-Magnon. I understand we are in an evolution, and technology is part of our evolution, and which is good if you use it in the right way. But we need to keep trying to be as much human that we can, and as much real that we can. And that's my thought.
Yeah, and a lot of bands, I'd have to say, over the past couple years, have been using backtracks during
Yeah,
their live performances. Now, let me tell you, as a rock enthusiast, I know it right away.
yeah,
And
I totally
it's,
agree.
yeah, it's been a real controversial subject. Um, my cohort on my year-end show, we briefly touched on it, but um, that's not what people want to hear. They want to hear live. We want to hear strings breaking. We want to hear voices cracking. We want, like you said, Diego, the real deal.
Yeah, and means coming back to the album that I recorded in that camping, yeah, I used technology. I used a hand recorder with batteries, and we put fake drums, and then the bass player played for real, and the guitar player played for real. But in that particular extreme situation, that we couldn't record drums because we couldn't go to studio,
Right.
everything was locked down. Maybe the in those days the technology played in our favor, but it is all my albums are completely organic, are all analog, and then never in my life I use backgrounds, anything on the stage, and it makes me sad because I'm agree with you. We need, and the other day a friend of mine said, "Hey, that she's involved in the music business. Why you don't change the color of your hair and put it black?" Because it's gray. That's my hair. It is. That's my age. That's my hair. I like it. Why I don't pretend to look younger or to look stronger. Even I don't pretend to look tougher. I understand sometimes people see my pictures. Say, hey, you are a mean guy. It is not that. I'm a 6'6" guy and I have tattoos, and so it's how I look when I'm not smiling. But I'm not pretending to sound like a mean, tough guy. You know what I mean? Is you sometimes in your life you have to be tough, and
Yeah,
sometimes you have to be sweet.
exactly. And it's funny you mention that because remember back in the day that Metallica cut their hair? I mean,
Mhm.
this was like the biggest controversy of the year at that time. And when their album came out, all their hair was cut on the back of it, on the back of the album. And it's like, who cares?
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
I'm agree.
Their hair isn't attached to their guitar or their vocals. You know what I mean?
So,
People, I think people have softened up on that a little bit on the visual, aspect. But yeah, I mean, people are starting to back off a little bit from that, Diego, which is a good sign, because
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, the pose means I understand the attitude, and the look is important. The look is very
right,
important because you are transmitting something more. It's a visual show. It's audio
right.
and also it's visual. Elvis was a very visual artist. He was singing and moving, and he was a handsome guy. But and that's totally cool with that. But musicians and people, they evolve. We are in an evolution, and maybe you want to change your style. Maybe you want to even change your style of music. And sometimes people think that you are betraying them, or something like that. And yeah, I think happened even with Bon Jovi, that is a rock artist. It's,
Yeah,
under my opinion, he's a great singer. He's an amazing singer. You maybe you don't like his music, maybe you love it, but he's an amazing singer. When he cut his hair and he was too handsome to play rock and roll, the people criticizing him and said, "Well, he's still being a great singer." So what's wrong with that?
yeah. I think too many people, like I said, I think people have changed their perspective as far as the visual aspect of it. But yeah, when John cut his hair, that was another big turmoil rock and roll moment in
Yeah.
history. Um, and hey, he's still here and he's still rocking. So
Oh
you
yeah.
know what? haters go away because he's not leaving anytime soon.
No. Those people are forever. They're already heroes alive, Metallica, and
Right.
thousands of them. We lost a lot of them on the road, which is life. But there is a beautiful meme about Eddie Van Halen that I always be with you. When he passed away. If ever someone put a photo of himself with a banner, say, "I always be with you. Just press play." And that's the message. I mean, these people are still alive, living in our memories, in our albums. So they make history, and we are here because of them. Whatever they have, short hair or long hair.
Right, exactly. And I mean, your music will be a footprint for future generations. And it's so important that we're all fighting to keep this music alive.
Beautiful. That's beautiful.
That's always been my message. I do this for the love of rock and roll.
Me
And
too. That's for sure.
it's never gonna change. So, and my followers, they love my interviews, and I love bringing them artists such as yourself that they would never connect with normally.
Yeah.
So
Yes, yes.
we're bringing you and exposing what you have to offer, which is beautiful rock and roll with a story.
Thank you so much. That's the key. And I'm 48 years old now, but when I was in my 20s, definitely I was more arrogant. I'm not saying that I'm not arrogant sometimes. Musicians, we could be cocky. That's for sure. But and when my 20s, I thought that everything was about us. It has to be about me as a singer. It has to be about the band. It has to be about how good I look, how good I sound. But with the years, I understand it's not about me or it's not about us. It's about the people. It's about the audience. It's about to make them feel good. It's about the people that were working 9 to 5 the whole week and they have some money in their pockets and they want to have a good time in the weekend. And rock and roll is a good thing for the world. It's an amazing good thing for the world. When I'm playing big festivals or big stages in front of 2, 3, 4, 5,000 people, and you see all those people having a great time and forgetting all their problems, even if it's only for 1 hour, that was our mission as a musicians. That was as a rock and rollers. The rock and roll is created for that to make the people feel better.
Yeah, rock and roll it's a feel good release
Yes,
for all of us. And like you said, I mean, it's all about that feeling. You want to forget about your troubles for a couple hours. You want to see some live rock and roll. You want to leave that stuff outside of the club. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Because it's always going
I
to be
totally agree.
there. But once you get in that club, it's a whole new world.
Yeah, there's two stories about two people that there is one of the hosts in the camping that I was living. I rather don't say the name because I want to keep the privacy. But
Right.
she came to me and she said, "We will become to be friends because when you are camping, everybody is
Right.
friendly." And she told me, "So I heard about that you are a rock and roller. I'm not very into rock and roll, but I would like to hear your music." So I gave her my Spotify channel, and 1 week later, she came to my campsite and she told me, "Man, uh, I'm suffering of depression." She told me for the reason I'm in the nature all the time, so I have to trying to heal myself with nature and hiking. And I listen music because my therapist told me music is good for the soul. And I'm not in the rock and roll scene, but your lyrics and your music really, really helps me to go through every day. And I felt so good. Probably part is ego, I understand that, but the other part is helping someone with your music to get into a storm or through a bad moment. And another cool story, my first album is full in English, full in Spanish, sorry. So I wrote a song called Cafeína and Rock and Roll, means caffeine and rock and roll. So I wrote that song because one of my friends He was struggling with alcohol. He was an alcoholic, and he lost his house, he lost his marriage, everything, unfortunately. And he went to rehab, and I found him 6 months later um, on the street. He was doing flyers on the street, and they say, "Hey, how you doing, Bull? Hey, how you doing?" So they say, "Let's have a coffee." So we went to a coffee shop. We were having a coffee, and then so I asked him. He was drinking coffee nonstop. So I asked him, "Are you clean? How is that things going?" He said, "Yeah, man, I'm totally clean. I'm totally sober in the last 6 months. The only thing that I drink, the only thing that I take is caffeine and rock and roll." So I really say, I'm going to write a song with that. I came home. It took me a couple of weeks, so I wrote the song. The song is in Spanish and talking about that, like living just with caffeine and rock and roll with no
I
drugs.
did listen to that song.
It's a kind of AC/DC vibe, a
Yeah,
lot of
kind of like that.
energy.
Yeah, but it was really cool. It was very, very unusual. Yeah.
And the cool story about it, in the story I talk a lot. If I talk too much, you say, "Hey,
No, no,
Bull, let me
you're
talk."
fine. Stop it.
So, well, the good thing about that song, in the life of a musician and the life of a rock and roller, there are many times that you want to quit. You want to quit because you don't have money, because you become to be homeless, because you can pay your rent, because all your family is telling you, get it a real job. Your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever is your partner, the whole society is treating you like you are a crazy person. And it's too much. It is a very, very, very tough business. Sometimes it's too much. So there are many times in any musician, even the famous one, they will tell you, "I was about to quit," or "I quit." So I was about to quit. I woke up this morning after a show. We did a great show, but the record label didn't show up. Well, anyway, long story short, I was about to quit, and I was having a coffee, and yeah, I'm gonna call the guys and say that I'm quitting, getting a real job, and then I received a message on Facebook about a person that I didn't know. It was a woman, and the message was kind of similar. My friend that I told you say, "Well, you don't know me, but I want to say thank you for that song, Cafe Rock and Roll. I'm an alcoholic person, but I'm in rehab, and the lyrics of that song really, really, really touched me. And I go jogging, running every day, and I'm not in the rock scene," she told me, "but that song has so much driving and so much energy, rock and roll, that it keeps me going every morning." And man, I almost cried, when someone, that was the best compliment that I ever had in my life. And then I didn't quit because I thought to myself, maybe I have something to say. Maybe I can help 10 people, maybe 1 million. I don't know.
That right there is divine intervention.
Yeah,
Somebody was keeping you from
yeah.
stopping.
I'm agree. I'm a total believer, and a divine storm is. I'm talking about a lot of things about God. This is one phrase in the song that is "I sailed my soul through open waters. A storm was sent to clear my way." So sometimes it's storm are in your life to clear your path or to lead you to the right direction. And it's one of that's what I want to say in the last song.
Yeah, I mean, so inspiring, so inspirational. I think a lot of artists don't realize how inspirational they are to the listener. The
Yeah.
connection is lifelong.
Well, but I'm glad there are people like you that understand the message, and that you are part of the family, and you are part of the rock and roll is pushing hard, because musicians without people like you, we are no one. We just people just screaming behind a microphone and scratching guitars. Means be photographers, podcasts, radios, interviewers, obviously followers and fans. We are a whole family. We are all together. We are the same people in different positions on the field, but we are a team, and we need to keep together, and we need to keep spreading the rock and roll.
Yeah, I mean that's my total message. I'm bringing these bands that maybe don't have the exposure, or artists such as yourself that necessarily need to get out there. And I want people to hear what you have to say. There's no, I do uncensored, unedited. This is
I like it.
straightforward. So when my viewers go to watch this on Saturday night, they know they're in for a great interview.
That's good. And real. What is more important is real. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. So let's talk, Diego, about your influences musically. I know you mentioned Elvis. I know that he was a big influence, but tell us a little bit about some of your other influences.
Well, at the beginning it was 50s, like arena rock and roll, Chuck Berry, Elvis, Eddie Cochran, Little Richard, Jim Vincent. And then I became to be very integrated about the 70s. So rock and roll, Led Zeppelin, ZZ Top, Rolling Stones, The Who, and I was very hooked with the 70s. And then when I moved to Texas, obviously Texas rock and roll, ZZ Top, Johnny Winter, Freddie King, that is a blues guy, Buddy Holly from the 50s. So basically, of course, I like British rock, but I'm very influenced by American rock and roll, and I like any kind of. I like soul music with Otis Redding. Wilson Pickett is one of my favorite singers.
Oh
Creedence
my
Clearwater
gosh.
Revival. Yeah, Wilson Pickett is fantastic, and Creedence Clearwater Revival. John Fogerty is very 360 360 artist. He sings amazing. He plays guitar amazing. He writes amazing songs. And definitely AC/DC. I can deny it. AC/DC
Right.
is a big part of my life. And, I like 80s too, a lot of 80s. Bruce Springsteen in the 80s. I like White Snake. I like Guns N' Roses. The old school. But I would say the three bands that really, really mark my style was AC/DC, Fogat. I don't know if my accent is good enough. Fogat,
Yeah.
Faghat.
Yeah, they're part of that late 70s, early 80s. Yes.
I love Fogat. It's one of my favorite bands ever. Fogat, AC/DC, Lynyrd Skinner,
How about how about
CCR.
how about BTO, Bachman Turner Overdrive? Have you ever heard any of their
Oh
songs?
yeah. They have like
Oh
kind
my
of
gosh.
biker. Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
They are great. I was opening for Ace Frehley lately.
Yes.
There was another huge band, 38 Special, that
Yeah.
I opened it for them too.
But let's talk about that. How
Yeah,
did you get the gig with Ace Frehley and opening up for him?
we did three gigs with him in Midwest. We did Ohio, Chicago, and Detroit. So my manager, he's very connected with artists from the 80s, and he lives in Midwest. So he called me and he said, I have this opening act with who? He's Ace Frehley. So, man, I'm in. So you want to do it? Of course I want to do it. So we were touring with him, a small tour, like 3 days, and Chicago, Detroit, and Ohio. It was fantastic.
I'm from
Not
Chicago.
only you're from Chicago,
Yes.
Chicago rocks. See, I love
Yes.
Chicago. We're gonna play in Chicago in April,
Yeah.
and
Great city.
Midwest. Yeah, it was amazing for many reasons. First of all, because we were opening for a legend like Ace Frehley. Second one, we were playing in big theaters, about 1,000 people, 12, 14, sometimes 800 people, which is a kind of very good crowd. But what we really, really like about that tour is the Midwest people.
Yes.
I love Midwest followers. They are the best in the world. And it was incredible. Indeed, we did a second tour with 38 Special in the same area. And we really like Midwest. We saw, there was a line, all these things are on camera for the documentary. 40 minutes of people waiting in line to buy up merchandising. We have ovations in every single song. and we only played 50 minutes because we were the opening band.
I'm
And we
telling you,
suddenly,
they're the most Chicagoans are the most loyal fans of rock and roll that you'll ever meet. I mean, I grew up there and my band was Cheap Trick.
oh yeah, Cheap Trick.
Yeah, I mean, because Don Carlisi, uh, the vocalist for 38 Special, I actually met him decades ago when he did his first tour with Bon Jovi.
Wow,
And
they
so,
are great. They are great.
yes, they're amazing. They've
Yeah,
lost a few members of that band,
I know,
but
I know.
they're still kicking it. I love 38 Special.
Me too. And we toured with them again in Chicago and Detroit. And man, those guys, they kill it. They're super tight. They look good. They play good. And it was an honor to open for them. I love Southern rock music, and they are one of the biggest Southern rock
Oh,
bands ever,
yeah.
with Allman Brothers, Leonard Skinner, Terry Special, the Ovello. And it was amazing. And we came back to those places to play with them. And the, the crowd is honestly and same in Detroit, same in Ohio, and obviously Chicago. By the way, our bass player is from Chicago,
Oh,
Bob.
really?
And yeah, he's from Chicago. And he told me, "Hey, Boo, you see, they're gonna love us," and he was right.
Yeah, I mean, let me tell you, I was just there. Well, last year I went because I'm friends with Jeff Young and the band Kings of Thrash. You know, ex Megadeth.
Mhm,
David Ellefson's in the band. My friend Fred Aching is the drummer, but he drums for the Bullet Boys. He has his own
mhm.
band, Dead Group. But anyway, I went to Chicago, and my hometown is near the Forge. I don't know if you played there or
We play in
probably,
St. Charles,
yeah, at the
San, yeah.
yeah, St. Charles. Okay, that's really close. But anyway, there's a place there in Joliet, Illinois called the Forge. Let
Hmm.
me tell you, that place is killer.
Oh,
They packed that place from the balcony to the main floor,
wow.
and it's an old rock club in Joliet, Illinois. And yeah, I mean, I had such a great time visiting my hometown. I hadn't been there in a while, but those rockers, man, when bands come through town, there and it was a snowstorm and they
Yeah, they go.
still showed up.
Yeah, we play in winter, so it was. And I live in Texas, so for me it was so damn cold. And for
Yeah.
the rest of the band lives in California, but it was packed up, and we studied the station and also we stayed brilliant. So we coming back to Chicago, April the 5th, I think, April 5th, to the Arcada Theater in St. Chair. There's a beautiful theater, and this time we're gonna open for Juan Crucier from Rap.
Oh, Juan Cousier.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So we opening for him. We are gonna opening for him in Chicago on the, I think it's the 5th. Yes.
April 5th.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's going to be a great show.
Yeah. Rap really rocks, and Juan is keeping the flag raising.
Yes. He's great.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah,
He's one of the most underrated players
I'm agree.
um, from the 80s. I mean, unbelievable.
He's in the same company with my management company, so he put the tour together. We're probably gonna do more days. The manager is working on a bigger tour in Midwest right now, so we started with that one, and I think we're gonna come back to Ohio and Detroit for sure. Maybe South Canada, Cleveland. We'll
Yeah,
see.
that's a hot spot right now for rock and roll. There's so
It
many
is. It's the
great
best.
rock bands coming out of the Midwest again.
Yeah.
Texas as well. I mean, Austin is a great rock and roll community as well. But
Uh, Austin is a. I love Austin. I really love Austin. I moved here in 2014. The live music scene here, it was crazy in those days, like literally
I
crazy. They
know.
call the live musical capital of the world. We have like literally 200 concerts daily. It was unbelievable. However, Austin still being a pretty cool city, but it became to be a tech city. Google is here, Amazon, Tesla, Apple. So it's becomes to be a very expensive city for a musician. So most of the musicians are leaving. We still have great people here and great venues and great music scene, but it's not as good as used to be, unfortunately, because it becomes to be a tech city. I won't say that Austin is super rock. San Antonio and Dallas are more rock. Here is more
Right.
bluesy.
Houston as well.
Yeah,
Houston
yeah.
as well.
Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio definitely they are in the rock scene more than us. Here is more like a blues, rock, country, honky tonk, and blues rock. I mean, it's a Stevie Ray Vaughan
Right.
spirit around.
Yeah.
So
Texas flood, baby. Texas flood.
let's explore. And I love Texas. I mean, it's a difficult market, but once you are in, they love you. Texas,
Right.
they are very faithful. They are tough people, and they like tough music and be very straight about your rock and about your saying. And I would like to say that we are doing pretty well in Texas.
Right. But I'm so looking forward to this mini tour back in the Midwest. That's great.
Yeah, yeah. I
I'd
will
love
send
to
you one.
I'd love to see you come through Vegas though.
I was trying. We play in California because my whole band lives in LA and I live in Austin. So every
Right.
time that we have a tour, I go to LA, which I was living 1 year there, but I prefer Texas over California. And then, so I don't have anything against California, but I really love Texas. So we went to California, and every time that we have a tour, I go to California. I practice with the guys, and then we hit the road. And we were thinking, sometimes we play in LA. We play at the Whiskey a Go Go opening for Dixie Reed for Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
And we were thinking in playing what is that venue in Vegas? The Vamps?
Yeah, Vamps. Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
number one
Vamps. Yeah,
rock club in Vegas.
yeah. I think I contacted them before I had the management for our show there, but we don't do covers. Means we play
Yeah.
originals. Maybe we do
Well,
one,
they
two
have a
covers.
lot of live music there too, though. You know what I
And,
mean?
and
Not just cover bands.
I know it's a great venue. As I followed them on in Instagram and social media, but in those days we didn't have like a big crowd. We still not like a, I won't, I don't have a draw of 2,000 people following me
Right,
in every
right, of
gig.
course.
That's a fact. But we have 3 songs in the Mayans. We play in a halftime in the San Antonio Spurs game. We play Midwest. We open for very big people. So we have some attention now. We took the attention of more people. Our Facebook page was hacked, so we are building the Facebook page again.
Yeah, and I'm gonna help you rebuild that a little bit so we can kind of get the ball rolling for you guys. Get some
Thank you so much.
new followers.
That's what we need. Thank you
Yes,
so
for
much.
sure. Well, why don't you tell everybody what your social media contacts are so they can check your music out?
Well, the social media is all Bull y Los Bufalos. So we are on Instagram. We have a Twitter. We don't use it too much, but it's there. And we are on Facebook. And also, you can find us in Spotify, YouTube channel. We have pretty cool videos indeed in YouTube and Apple. On the major platforms. Platforms.
Yes. And we're going to keep in touch, Diego, because I'm
For
really
sure.
excited for your journey. And I really want to keep this going, keep the connection going with us so we can do a follow up later.
Let's book together a gig in Vegas, and we can have a lot of fun.
Right. Definitely. For
Yeah,
sure. But
sounds like a plan.
I want to thank you for coming on. What a great conversation we had. And I'm really looking forward to what is coming up next for you.
Well, thank you so much for the interview. Thank you so much for the love and for listening to music. And I really like all the things that you said, and really touched me. And I really, really appreciate that you're keeping the rock and roll alive, and we are part of this.
Yes, we're a big family. You're not getting rid
That's
of any
it.
of
That's right.
us.
That's right. Keep on
Okay.
rocking.
So keep rocking, Diego, and we'll talk soon.
We'll talk soon. Kisses. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
What a great guy, Diego Ovello. This band, Bully Los Bufalos. What a great band to watch for. Definitely check them out on Spotify and YouTube. Their story is going to continue, and Vegas Rock Goddess here is going to get you the scoop. Thanks for watching. Always like and subscribe to On the Rocks Total Entertainment, because you never know who I'll be talking to next.